Alright folks, first of the year, and I'm in a mood this morning to talk about the fish tank, so I'm excited. I just did a quick test on it. I have been monitoring the phosphate, which for most people probably isn't really a concern, and as I'm maybe 10 or 15 years into the hobby seriously, 20 or 30 years having fish tanks, phosphate's something you really better be monitoring. If you care anything about nitrates or ammonia, then take the time to get a good phosphate kit. I noticed the phosphates were starting to rise in this tank. I feed these silver dollars live romaine lettuce, large pieces on a clip, maybe once a week or so, and I know that's importing a lot of phosphate because in the field they're pouring the fertilizer on that lettuce to get it to grow, and I'm buying it at the grocery store, and there it goes right into your tank. So I have a good algae covering, live algae. I leave the lights on 12 hours a day in here. You can see the tank has matured really well. The plants look real. That's all fake plastic plants for anybody who hasn't watched my other videos. Those are all fake plastic plants in there. So we've got a lot of really great, just nice, randomy kind of algae just growing on stuff. And it's really starting to look really real, and everything is just looking really, really nice. You can see where they've been picking at these silver dollars are an herbivore, so they only eat plants. They don't really like meat. So that's not their main diet. So they're picking at this algae, which is good. I'm supplementing their diet a little bit, but phosphate was climbing. So we went to the local pool store and bought a parts per billion test. That's far more than the parts per million test. I don't know that all aquatic standard aquarium phosphate tests are parts per million or parts per billion, but what I'm finding at the local pool store is that the guy's my buddy. He gives me the test. He gave me a pack of the tests, and I've sort of been monitoring it over the last year, and I'm noticing, what would be normal, what would be not. It was starting to climb to 400 parts per billion. So I went ahead and got rowa phos. I'm absolutely a huge fan of it now. We're probably 3 weeks into rowa phos, and I can't measure any phosphate in that tank. Took it all out. So it's going to seriously slow down this algae growth now that I have it on things. It's going to cut that algae out. And it's good. You don't want phosphate in your water. It builds up in the substrate, gets into your rocks, gets into anything it can get into, and gets extremely hard to get out in the long run. So this tank's about 5 months old. So we'll go back to the system I'm utilizing to distribute rowa phos through here. Is BRS's deluxe reactor. It's a great little deal. This is really the way you're going to want to do your tank if you're going to put any kind of, if you think carbon in a bag is going to work, then how about trying, doing it the right way and putting it in a reactor. You can see I've got a quarter cup running in there. It's a little tricky to see because it's on top of the sponge, but there's a quarter cup of rowa phos in there for 3 weeks, and it took all of it out. That's like $3 worth. It's stupid cheap. So it's a no-brainer, and it's still running. So there's a top screen on there, and coming down through the reactor. I'm also running charcoal or ROX carbon in there. That's the good carbon. Just because I hadn't had it in there for a couple weeks, we were running peat moss in it last cycle, and that bag of peat moss is now hanging inside a nylon stocking inside my first pre-filter sock right there, just to finish out anything it has. You can see we're running 6.58 is my pH. Something new that I've ran in this tank since the last time I made a video, I have gone ahead and started balancing my alkalinity buffer and acid buffer to try and maintain a stable pH. I noticed I was getting a really big dabble up and down during the day. So I thought that is not good for my fish. It's not good for the monitoring of my system. It makes it hard for me to know what's going on. So I have gotten Seachem's alkalinity and acid buffer. Used it like they said they use it. It's really strong, folks. You only need a little bit. We're talking quarter teaspoons on a big system like this. Quarter teaspoons at a time, because it sends the pH through the roof. We are 100% RO water on this tank. So that's just so I know what I have coming out of the wall. So for me, that's a better way for me. Sorry, you see a reflection of the Christmas tree lights. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. So so you know what is really going in and out of your tank. I can monitor it. I'm also adding in a little bit of trace element stuff now. I've also bought into, I really did a little bit of research on Seachem, and this early morning, so the fish are a little spooked here. We're using We're using Replenish, which is one of Seachem's great stuff. I like Replenish. I haven't been using it like crazy because I am running carbon in there, and I feel like there's a good chance that the carbon is going to suck out some of those trace elements, and I don't want that raked this moment. I'm going to start that up as soon as I pull out the carbon. But rowa phos, I mean, it's common. People use it. It works, man. It's like, this is a little cup. It's like 13 bucks. I don't know how many cups in it, but I used a quarter of a cup and I cleaned every bit of the phosphate that was starting to stack. I was getting around my, 2 parts per million, 4 parts per million kind of range, which is where you don't want to be. Once you start climbing, that's saltwater chemistry, really. But 2 to 4 parts per million is when you start growing algae and you start getting trouble and it starts getting into stuff. So as long as you're under 1 part per million, I mean, that's typical, that's normal, that's just what's going to come in your food when you dump your food in. So, but you got to be exporting it. If you're not taking it out, then it's just building up in your tank. So, again, we've got the alkaline and acid buffer. The acid buffer is still in there, but that's Seachem. These are common products. These are what you should be putting in your water if you're taking anything out of your water by pre-filtering it with some sort of inline water filtration system, or you're using pure water other than out of the tap water. You got to put stuff back in the water, or you're going to have problems. Everybody says that water, just because it's clear, doesn't mean it does or doesn't have anything in it. Clear water, well, I mean, come on. There's stuff in there that you can't see. You got to get your head around that and realize that, you need to be putting things in the water that need to be in the water. Because if you're taking it all out, you got to have, I mean, you can't see calcium, you can't see lead, you can't see magnesium, you can't see asbestos. So you got to take out everything, in my opinion, take it all out and put in what you want, not just whatever's coming through the tap. So I have everything out of this water and I put in what I want. Put in my acid and alkaline buffer, put in my trace elements. I control my phosphate. I still do water changes, and what we've actually bumped up to do with this water change system, which is in some of my other videos, is added in a little bit of non-filtered water now. I came into my RO system over here in the cabinet. I'll try and go through this quick. I know there's a lot of information. It ends up being a 10-minute video every time anyway. I grabbed an old leftover water filter system, which is the same as my SpectraPure system, basically, except I can't see inside there. See what's in them. I added a second tee off my final water right before it goes into my membrane. I teed off, put a restrictor, which is what you're looking at right here. Put a restrictor in here, dialed it way down to hardly anything, and I'm running a few drips of non-membrane water in with my membrane water, and I've tested that on the other end after it comes through to get a pH of roughly 6.5 to 6.70, so that I'm helping maintain the pH that I want out here. I want 6.5 to 7. That's what I want. So if I'm dripping that in, that means I'm not taking out. If I just take out just straight RO water, the pH is like in the 4 range. There's nothing in it. It's bad. It's way too acidic water for the fish. So you end up driving your pH down, doing your water changes with straight RO water. Plus, you don't have anything in there that they need. You're going to end up with pH spiking all over the place, and that's not good. The fish are even reacting better. They're growing fast. I only feed them once a day, once every other day, and not a whole lot. So I'm not trying to grow these things into, 4-inch fish or anything. So, but anyway, on here we're saying that we're now doing a little bit of partial cutting of the water from just straight 100% RO water to try and see if it helps me maintain the pH that I want, keep the calcium and alkalinity that I want, keep my GH, KH is what we're really talking about. I've got a specific test for that, and keep that right where I want it. So it's way up from the other tests. If we're curious, if you're really into it, here's my book. Come over to the book and I'll read you what we were when we tested, I think, last week. And I think if I haven't said before, keep a book, keep a log, then you can look back over the last year, how much you put in and what things were following year before. We're going to look down at this, and it's my chicken scratchman on 12/27. We had less than 15 parts per million of nitrite, 0 nitrates. My GH was approximately 100. Chlorine is 0. My KH is around 40. My pH was 6.72 and rising because I'd added 1 full tablespoon of pH down with 1/8 to 1/4 of a tablespoon of pH up. That's their acid and alkaline buffer. You add some with the other. The one counteracts the other one, then you equal each other out. They don't cancel each other out. You add a certain amount of positive ions to a certain amount of negative ions so that you meet in the middle somewhere with good positive and good negative ions, but not a crazy pH. So it's kind of hard to understand adding things into the water, not adding things into the water. So I'm probably going to get short on time. That's what we are. Adding it in slowly is the trick. That's something new I started doing. The BRS reactor I've got set on my little pre-order thing. I think I'm going to order another one. I'm going to run Purigen in the other one, I think. It's another cool product when you get into the long-term maintenance of fish tanks. Purigen's talked well about. So are a lot of the other complex reactor kind of media stuff. So if you want to go with a bioball, biomedia, one of those, can't think of it right now, but I'm sure anybody who's in fish tanks knows what I'm talking about. Tumbling that stuff in the media. Reactor in there. Those are all great ways to kind of control what you got going on. I have great control of this water. I'm very comfortable with what's going on. I think too many fish in there. My ultimate goal is to breed them. I have too many fish in there for them to calm down and breed, so I'm going to wait till I get 2 that I think are a breeding pair and send them over to that tank. There's still just 3 spin-off variety non-standard silver dollars over there. They're the spotted version, and I just can't see flushing them, and I know I got nobody to give them to, so they just kind of keep that system running on that tank. But I also have a red C-Max 39 BioCube kind of deal outside. I got it real cheap. It's in great shape, so I may import that into here and use it as my breeding tank if I can try and breed a couple of these guys. But there's still a few of them are a little small, but I got some that should be getting close. They should start doing the shimmer and start trying to breed here pretty soon. So anyway, there's the tank. Hope y'all like it. I added a little moonlight thing. I stripped out a exterior landscape light, kind of $2 Walmart landscape light, cut it all apart and put the little LED into it, and just set the solar panel underneath my light system on the top, and that keeps it recharged every day. I put like a 2500 milliamp battery in it. They're typical ones that come from Home Depot are $3, and they got like a 200 milliamp. They last about an hour and the light goes out. With a 2500, the thing glows bright, strong all night long. Looks like a cool moonlight, cheap. Nothing. It was something I was going to throw away anyway. I said, let's see if this works for moonlight. It does. Works good. So that's a neat little thing you may want to try and do and implement in your tank.